Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't have a headset. I feel a little left out. My name is NJ Potter, and I'm a CSM here at Apttus. This next session is going to be great. If you've ever had a situation where you've implemented and then you have your end users turn around and tell you, oh, it doesn't work, there's too many steps, it's not user-friendly, then this is going to be really important to you guys. These next guys embody awesome admins. They're going to give you some great helpful tips on improving usability with Apttus. So with that, Guillermo, Bonnie, and Michelle, go ahead.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, cool. So hey guys, my name is Guillermo Padroni. I work for Telogis of Verizon Corporation. Been on the Salesforce platform for the last 9 years. I have a couple certifications. I'm the director and senior architect of Salesforce for my corporation. So all things Salesforce is my domain. What does Telogis do? Basically, iMaps, Google Maps. We do that for corporations and big businesses. That's our deal. So really quickly, audience poll. How many of you guys, by a show of hands, are business analysts and project managers in general? Great. How many of you guys are system administrators and developers? Okay, perfect. How many of you guys spend 50% or more time building or managing to build and project manage to execute change? How many of you guys do less than 50% a day? Everybody else doesn't work. Awesome. How many of you guys are in orgs of 100 users or less? Show of hands. Nobody. All right, nobody's in SMB. How many of you guys are 100 to 500 people, users? Great. Everybody else is in enterprise class, 500 or greater? Ouch, good luck with that. And we'll skip this one. How many of you guys are current Apttus customers? Good, congratulations. And how many of you guys are potential customers? Everybody else? Cool. Really fast, I'm going to talk about two parts of one-click optimizations. One will be how to improve your existing Apttus implementation by using a couple cool tricks that we've learned over the last 2.5 years that we've implemented. And then the other two pieces are going to talk about just general CRM improvements and processes you can put into play really quickly. So with that, improving your Apttus implementation, right? So the problem that we had with our users is, like all sales reps, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to click on anything, they don't want to fill anything out. So in general, they said, it's too hard, it's too time consuming. So what we did was we put in what's called a Salesforce URL hack, where it pre-selects the record type, in this case NDAs. It pre-populates the account lookup because that's really difficult to do. It also renders as a button to make it relatively intuitive to click on, and it defaults the start date for the NDA to today's date. So what do? You can literally take this formula, copy and paste it into your org tomorrow or tonight after you're done drinking and have a successful deployment there. All you have to do is change the NA32, that's your instance ID. You swap out the secondary record type, that is the record type for the contract that I want to select on the Apttus agreement object. That second section where it says account name ID, that's the custom field name for the account lookup on your Salesforce instance. And then the second to last item, the ent equals, et cetera, that's the agreement object name. That's the actual agreement object that's when you install the package. You just scrape that ID and drop it in there. The last piece is the image display. You can actually create a static resource, make a fancy little button, call it whatever you want, the amazing button, drop it in there, and it outputs it. If you don't want to do an image rendering and you don't have a Photoshop gal or guy on the team, you can just change the image to an actual quote, generate an Apttus NDA, and it'll just output as a hyperlink. So from there, what does that do? Basically, it gives your sales rep a lot less things to complain about. They will still complain. And ultimately, it just makes their life easier by just clicking on it, fill it out, hit send, done. So it actually does save 4 or 5 clicks for the customer, for your end user in that use case. So the second scenario we had in our company was, when do I pick a purchase agreement? When do I pick an order? When do I pick an evaluation? It was so complicated, to pick from 4 possible variables. It's very difficult. So what we decided to do is take advantage of an Apttus technology called the query template function. Some of you guys may be using it, some of you may not be using it if you're more self-implemented. There's a simple function, it's called the submit request button. It's in the object already built out, and it's tied to a Visualforce page and controller and a bunch of Apex in there. And what it leverages is a technology called the query template function, which I'll show you in the next screen. It's basically like a workflow-esque functionality that Apttus built. And here's a screenshot of that if you're not familiar. On the left-hand side, you have the type of query template, which in this case, it's a template filter. On the right-hand side is the S object. That is the actual object name within the Salesforce org. It will be called the Apttus underscore template C. The qualifiers, this section is which agreement records qualify for the query selection, the template selector. The filters at the bottom, that is actually going to go out and actually select the specific template that are qualified for that agreement. So you can have different combinations of things, but it should be one specific scenario, but you have many, many of these use cases. So in this qualifiers, you'll see it reads agreement. On the agreement object, I'm going to look at the contract type, which is that field, and then the comparison operator is equal to, and then the value that's being output is purchase order. Now we actually have a complex formula on contract type that it looks at the account record and says, do I have a purchase agreement? Do I not have a purchase agreement yet, or is there one active? And based on that account qualifier, it feeds into the Apttus agreement and then gives me that value. On the filters, I'm going to say I'm looking for the template name, which equals to the purchase agreement rev1 in this use case. And then if, for the purchase agreement, I can choose that variable. So it's actually not that hard and it's pretty straightforward. What does that do? All the sales rep has to do is click the button, the system generates and selects the document, they just hit who to send it to and send it off, and they can call it a day. The next piece I'm going to talk about is optimizing your CRM system. In this case, it's specific to Salesforce. So the problem was, there's a lot of turf war, people stealing accounts, people taking accounts, people dumping accounts into different territories, and that kind of blows up your forecast, right? If I take a $10 million account and drop it into a completely different territory, I just lost $10 million of total potential that I have to figure out how to backfill. So what we did in this case was we built a hidden, with a permission set, we built a custom field. We've basically hacked the change account owner function. We stripped that out. We've assigned it to directors, VPs, and sales ops. And in our use case, you can actually add validation rules to disallow dumping it into a completely opposite territory. But I won't show you that piece because I just don't have enough time. So again, you can take this formula, copy the whole thing. The only thing you have to change is the green section. This works on the account object in Salesforce. And essentially, the bottom section, it's literally, I've added the comments in there to tell you what it does. When you click on change owner, you have all these things you can check off. Essentially, what you have to do is just say if you want it on, you do a 1. If you want it off, you do 0. But the fun part here is the or condition at the top that you see there. The $ user master sales region, what that tells you is who's logged into Salesforce and what does that user's master region define. In our use case, we've said every sales user is defined a specific region, west, east, north, south, etc. And then the person who owns the record is on the right-hand side. And if the person who owns the account is in the west, but the logged in user is a director of the east, he can't click on the button, it's gone. But if they're both in the west and it's owned by the west, then it displays the output formula here. And the other conditions are bypassed, like system admin should always be able to do it, sales ops can always do it. And what does that do? It basically controls, there's less politics, more karma, and a lot less turf wars, and you're not stealing things and taking things and destroying the pipeline. So the next piece is one-click sales rep help, right? A lot of times you send an email to sales ops, hey, I need help, I need assistance on this, I don't know what products to pick. So essentially what you can do is you can build a deal desk ticketing tool in Salesforce. It's really fast to build. Build an app, build a custom hyperlink to pre-fill everything out really fast and get it out the door. Again, in this case, it's a little bit more complicated. Each of the green variables are what you have to change and swap out. Everything else should just be copy and paste for your specific thing. Again, that first lookup is the record name, the second one is the account name, and then I'm defaulting an opportunity type, which you can see is the case, the type field, and then there's a priority function from there. And what does that do? It basically allows sales to just focus less time on data entry, and they can focus time on selling, and they know that I've queued something up, it's in a queue, and somebody's going to get back to me. On the sales app side, they know they get email notifications, they get a process, they get a queue list, they get to know who's working on it, how long, they can build an FAQ, they can see process issues and things like that, and trackability. So with that, Bonnie.
Cool. Hopefully I can figure out how to use the pointer. Thank you so much for that great presentation. My name is Bonnie Henners. I'm one of the founders of Real Telephony. We do consulting for nonprofits here in the Bay Area. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I run, with a co-leader, I run the Bay Area nonprofit Salesforce user group. If you are not yet active in the Salesforce community and you're a Salesforce user, I encourage you to join your user group or join an online user group that may be close to your area. It's a great resource. Nobody has to be a solo admin when you've got thousands of really bright and enthusiastic other admins out there ready to help you and ready to hear about your problems and help you solve them. And this is my quote. I have the privilege of working with nonprofits who are people who are trying to change the world for the better, which is a great thing. I also have the privilege of working with Pluralsight to help them come up with courses on Salesforce topics to help you have a better Salesforce org, hopefully, in the end. And my first course is coming out within the next week or two on adapting Visualforce for Lightning. Okay. So Lightning Experience, you guys have probably heard of it if you're doing Salesforce. It's new, it's improved, and we've had the challenge of trying to figure out how to move customers to that. One of the really cool things about Lightning is that it's task-oriented rather than data-oriented, which means that we get to rethink some of our processes. Basically, we wanted to look at our automations and see how we can make them better fit our user needs, make it user-centric. And the outcomes that we're looking for is to streamline our automations. Anybody got too many triggers in their org that they would like to maybe trim that down? Yeah, Lightning's your chance to really do that, to look at how your users interact with data and how your automations interact with data. So you can actually update those processes. You can make the whole thing more domain-centric so that it's concentrating on your new business needs. A lot of us, if we're using triggers, they may be outdated. Our business may have new processes and need those updated, but you know, code takes a long time to get updated. It's much easier to use clicks and be more flexible. So that's what we decided to do. We decided to use clicks, not code solutions, actions, and visual flow. First, let's take a quick look at Lightning. People like it, end users like it because it's uncluttered, right? They've got a nice new font, things are big on the page, and we can see here, this is where our actions are available. If you've got Salesforce Classic going, you may already be using actions as part of Chatter. This is where it will live in Lightning, whether or not you're using Chatter. And you can see that we've got change owner and change record type here available on our account detail page. But what we wanted was on the contact detail page to be able to go ahead and create an opportunity direct from that contact detail and to pre-populate it with information from the contact record. So we've got simple menu to fill out to tell our action that what it's going to do is create a new record. The recordtunity is going to be the record that it's creating is going to be an opportunity, and it's going to pull this data. It's like editing a formula. You've probably all done that already. So you can pull the account name from the contact to associate it with the opportunity. You can also give the opportunity name to help enforce data integrity in your org because, sorry, I keep shining that in your faces, because you know that some of these business processes and best practices for end users are really hard for them to remember the rules if you've got them. So we made it really easy. We pre-populate the form and all we ask them to fill out is the amount in the next step. This actually works really well for nonprofits. They can go to that contact page, they can click on the new button for the opportunity, and they can fill this out with an opportunity, with an amount for a check that they've received as a donation or as a pledge, and the status is all pre-filled for them. But in a regular business sense, they may not actually have the amount. You may want to actually pull the amount from products, opportunity line items. So we need something more complex. And in fact, you probably want to take that contact and associate it with the opportunity using the opportunity contact role. So using visual flow, which again is clicks, not code, but very powerful, we can actually create all of those different record types. We can create the opportunity, we can create the opportunity line items, we can create the opportunity contact role, all from starting from that contact record. Because we start with our contact, We look up the account that's related to that contact, get the account data so we know what price books are available for that account, we know what products we're selling to that account. We can give a screen to our sales team to prompt them for the appropriate input in that scenario, and then we can automatically create the appropriate records. We look up the appropriate price book, we create the opportunity contact role, and the opportunity line items. Now, where do we put visual flow for the users? Lightning gives us a lot of choices, actually, and these are new choices that we don't have all the time in Salesforce Classic. In fact, we can simply go into the record detail page in App Builder and create a new Lightning page that has that visual flow right at the top. So for our users' perspective, when they go to that record, the questions that are most pertinent to the task they're doing at the time are right on top of the data that they're looking at. So they know who they're talking to, they know what data they're trying to find out the answers to, what kind of renewal are they going to give us? Is it going to be a basic renewal or a VIP renewal? And how many licenses do they want to renew? Of course, it could be more complex, but in this case, we're pulling just the products that are appropriate for this contact and asking the minimum number of questions for our sales team. And the opportunities get created automatically with the amount being calculated from the opportunity line items, the close date being calculated from a formula that we've given the visual flow, and the opportunity name likewise being created through a formula. So Lightning really gives us a great way to simplify the UX and to make it more user-centric. In fact, one user can have multiple different ways of looking at the contact record through different apps. They can have multiple apps that pull up different views and different menus, different visual flow menus that are associated with that, depending on whether they're in a sales process or in a more service-oriented process later during the year when the sales reps should be checking in on their customers and finding out how things are going. So it helps us to create the related records, not just the opportunity itself. We can enforce best practices around naming and close dates. And another great feature of Lightning is that it's available on a variety of devices. It's automatically responsive on mobile. So we found that it was a really great solution to automating these processes. Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Michelle Enke. I am a managing partner of OpMentors. I've been working in the Salesforce world for about 8 years. First 5 years I was a system admin on the client side. My primary task there, or role there, was to help build out our business processes on the platform from front office to back office. And in 2014, I left the client world and started my own consulting firm with my business partner, Jocelyn, and haven't looked back, have really enjoyed that. I also have my Salesforce Sales Cloud and Administrator certifications, and I'm the co-leader of the Chicago Women in Tech User Group. Just a quick word about OpMentors. Our passion is really about process, and is why we formed our business. We truly believe that your technology should be molded to support your business processes and not drive it. So I'm going to go kind of quick. Basically, these guys have talked about things that you can do to make your platform more user-friendly and great. And you do all this, you build this field of dreams for your users, and they don't come and show up and play. Why? How do you drive user adoption? I firmly believe analytics is the answer to that. Your users want to see, why am I putting all this data into this org? What information can I get out of it? So there's a couple things as an admin that are quick wins for you. One we've found is on the bar chart on the left, is by simply adding a goal line that really kind of beefs it up for your users. For us, we use it, the goal line represents how many hours do we have to have billable in each month to be profitable. You can also use a bar chart like this for utilization or many things across your organization. My other favorite is always been gauges. I've set on the sysadmin side, but also on the sales operations side. End of quarter, this was my favorite gauge because I would watch my sales reps run to their desk and hit close and then refresh. And they'd watch that gauge move and they'd get really excited about managing that data in the system. So again, a real easy, quick win, but one that is often overlooked as an admin. Here is one of the things we also concentrate within our own organization, and then when I was on the client side, is managing to the exception and the outliers. When you look at the bar graph on the left, what this means to me is as a quick visual, I've got 5 cases at a high priority, then I can quickly drill into the report behind that and see why. Is there a commonality between them? Is it a common issue within the case? Is it a common person that's associated with the case? It allows me to quickly manage to that exception. The report on the right is all about filtering, is all about looking at the outliers. So if things are going correct, based on the report being filtered on opportunities that are past the due date, I really want this report to return 0. I want no records on it because I want to know all my account reps are keeping their opportunities up to date. So this shows me my outliers and allows us to quickly dive into that and sit down with the account execs or however the report's written and address why are these opportunities past their due date, update them, and then hopefully have a report that actually returns nothing. That's pretty counterintuitive to most admins when you're building reports, is you're kind of like, what the heck, I have 0, I did something wrong. But in this case, you want it to do that. So this is a great report. The next thing I want to talk about is X-Author. I love this tool. My business partner attended a demo for it a couple years ago, and within 10 minutes of seeing the demo, we looked at each other and said, we have to have this. We have to have it for us. So it's a great, awesome tool. It marries Excel with your CRM and gives you this great user experience. As talked before, clicks not code. You still get the power of Excel, the ability to create formulas in your Excel environment, and then have it married with your CRM environment or user. The other thing I love about it is it gives you the ability to pull records across. I was at a partner event yesterday, and they talked about that they have created an app across 21 objects and pulled it all into one spreadsheet. That is awesome. No code involved, clicks. It gives you the ability to also then manage that data within the Excel spreadsheet and then through one click push it back into your CRM. This tool is awesome then for also data integrity as well as data migration. We've used this tool for moving pretty large pieces of data and ensuring that the integrity was there and getting it quickly into our new CRM solution. Last thing I want to talk about is, Bonnie kind of talked about this, but ensuring success, not only for you as an admin, but for your users. Make sure you join your CRM community. Be very active in it, participate in it. Make sure you join your local user group. Go to the meetings, network. It's really important. Come to awesome events like this. Get out there and network. You can't, and you learn so much, and you hear other people's pain points, and it encourages you, especially as an admin. Sometimes you don't. You feel like that lone wolf, and you're fighting your users, and you want them to be successful. And so this gives you a support mechanism. And get your certification. You put in the hard work every day to be an admin. Go out there and get certified. Show that hard work is worth something, that you put the effort in, and then put that on your LinkedIn, put that on your resume. It's really a good thing to do. And that's all I got.